Hello and welcome to Leonard Brothers Game. I'm David, and it's just me because John is still at work, and we are playing Walking Dead Season 2, Episode 1, Part 1. And unfortunately, I have to record this over the video because once again the audio did not record from my commentary, so I'm just playing over the video and recording over it afterwards, going to mix it back together and get some commentary on this thing, which should have had it there in the first place because that's the point of the software. Anyways, the Walking Dead series. I've liked the games, at least this version of the game, a lot better than the TV series, and I haven't really read the comics very much, so I can't really comment on where things start from that. But this is importing Season 1 save, because this is starting with Season 2. I didn't want to have to replay Season 1. I did not have any recording software back when I was playing through Season 1. Basically, you play as Lee, a guy who escaped from a cop car who is going to prison for supposedly murdering someone. He admits he did kill somebody, but it was out of love. And he was going to do his time and so on, but then the zombie, or in this case, walker apocalypse occurred. Because they don't call them zombies, and so he comes across this house, he meets the little girl Clementine, and together they meet a whole cast of stereotypical, rude, mean characters that many of them you want to die, and many of them you want to survive because you care about them so much. Unlike the series, the TV series, I don't really care about any of the characters, and I just watch it to see them, get their best, or what they deserve, pretty much. So they travel with this original group, and mostly this focuses this recap on Lee and Clementine because that is the basis of the first season. At this point, where Lee gets bitten by a walker, and he's going to turn, and I had seen the how this ending turned out on YouTube beforehand, before actually playing it, and they were in tears. Everyone who I watched a version of that ending had to pause the video and just fall apart crying. And I was just saying, oh, that was really sad. But then I played through it myself and had to pause it because it's... not again. Every single time they show this stuff, and it's just so heartbreaking. No matter what you do, he's gonna have to die. Because there's no turning back. Anyways, when they announced that this second season would be playing as Clementine, a lot of people wondered how much would they put her through and who would still be around and what kind of twists and turns this story could take. I mean, I like it in general because it's made by the same guys. Telltale Games is made up mostly the same people who worked at LucasArts and made a lot of the iconic point-and-click adventure games like Sam & Max, Day of the Tentacle, Maniac Mansion, and that kind of stuff. And so I played those games when I was a kid, and seeing how the genre has progressed in general is quite rewarding. I really appreciate the fact that this is not a dead style of gameplay, because it needs to keep going. It's great storytelling. I really appreciate it. So this is Ahmed and Krista. They were some of the last people that they met, like in episode 4 of Season 1. Krista was only slightly pregnant at the time, and now she's really pregnant, because it's been several months since. And the idea of how the game works, like most adventure games, at least in this one, you have a limited amount of time to choose what you're going to say, and some options are right, and some options are going to bite you in the end, because as it makes notices that so-and-so will remember that, or so-and-so will keep that in mind, And sometimes you have to make certain alliances with people. If you agree with them early on, when a situation comes up in a later episode that you need them to agree with you, they will. And if you don't, you might get stabbed in the back because you didn't root for them earlier. Of course, the issue with a lot of people trying to play through these games for the first time and not having all of the context of what are good options and what are bad options. And even then, they don't completely let you fail the game. There are quick time events and things that occur that if you don't push the button fast enough, or the right button, you will die. But then you just go back to a checkpoint in the level. But basically, there's no real penalty for really making the wrong decision, except more negative storyline. It's going to be negative no matter what, because people will die, people will fail, and like in the first season, there was an old guy who was very racist, and you had every reason to let him die after he got bitten. Actually, he didn't even get bitten. He was dying of a heart attack, and it doesn't matter whether you're bitten or not in the Walking Dead series. In general, if you die, you turn. They found out that everyone's pretty much infected by this disease in the first place, and so you got to put him down and keep him down. But they were stuck in this freezer together, and Lee, you have the choice to either crush his head with an ice block, to keep him down, or his daughter's also there with him, and so whether you choose to try to block it or not, it still crushes his head and he still dies. But at least if you try not to, the guy who's doing it will disagree with you, but his daughter will agree with you, even though later on his daughter made a lot of bad decisions herself too, and so she's kind of not really worth saving. I would say that about a lot of the characters in the TV series in general, except for the governor. A lot of people don't like the governor, and I don't even know how he was portrayed in the comics, but I like him because he was portrayed by the same actor who went on to do, at least at the same time, he played the next Doctor in Doctor Who. He had an issue replace his memories with those of the Doctor, and so he played this very crazy guy who held just a normal screwdriver and said, "It's a screwdriver, knock knock. It's sonic. It makes noise, right? So it's a screwdriver." And he had a balloon that represented his TARDIS, and he was trying to fill in the gaps of all these things that were in the Doctor's memories, but weren't his own. And so in this scene, we've got she's hiding away from someone who is not Krista, and there's going to be a bit of trouble coming ahead. Excuse me. So anyways, with episodic series, it's nice that at least in this one, with this year, they've got the this Season 2 and The Wolf Among Us Season 1, which is based on Fable's comic book series, where you got a whole bunch of fairy tale characters being transformed and trying to live in a normal reality instead of their fairy tale lives. And it's rather adult, rather graphic. That's why they're all like graphic novels kind of thing. But anyways, what's nice is that each of them are 5 episodes, and right now each of both series, the season pass is like $10. And so it's a pretty good deal, at least on PlayStation Network. If you're a PlayStation Plus member, definitely pick these up because they're quite compelling, and they certainly help the genre along. You know, if they don't buy them, they don't keep getting made. And so even though there are fairly simple, straightforward concepts in terms of gameplay, I think it certainly opens up the idea that story and art and intrigue and character development can certainly be part of games. And this is like the main part of the game. If you don't care about these kind of things, if you care more about gameplay, you're not going to find that here. You're not going to find that in a point-and-click adventure. But you are going to find things that prove that gameplay can go beyond the normal point-and-click, not the normal running gun and shoot things and ask questions later gameplay that we've expected from most games lately. But anyways, what's nice about these 2 series, though, is that they are back-to-back kind of thing. So, like, this month is going to be a new episode of Walking Dead Season 2. Last month was an episode of The Wolf Among Us. Next month's going to be another episode of Wolf Among Us, and so on. Because for the past couple of years, they've had new Sam & Max games, which I have not been as big a fan of as the original. I don't know if it's just the writers or the casting. They've got like a slightly different sound for Sam & Max than they did in the original game, and I kind of, the nostalgia, the feeling, and oh dear, yeah, he got shot. Barely get to know Ahmed, and he's already dead. Thanks, Walking Dead. You're worse than a lot of other, like, George R.R. Martin and stuff. They're known for killing their characters, whether you care about them or not. They're going down, especially Joss Whedon as well. So, but anyways, that's another aside. Sure you didn't. How things change though too, for how The Walking Dead shows that it's less about the walkers that you have to worry about. It's more about the other survivors. What this kind of uh, survival necessity, when you take away all of the luxuries and simplicity of life, and make it kill or be killed, what it does to people, and the horrors and brutality that it can bring out of people is quite compelling, at least story wise. And I think Telltale really captures it in this game series more than other games, especially the Walking Dead Survival Instinct that was made. That was a first-person shooter that had terrible AI and repetitive gameplay and very boring and dull and stupid. Don't play that one. Play this one. This is the definitive Walking Dead game series. And as far as I know, it pretty much carries a different tune from anything else. Robert Kirkman and the other creators of the series gave them the rights to pursue their own identities with a lot of these people, their own perspective, and it includes a few characters from the series. Other parts, like Herschel, shows up, the old man with the farm. That shows at least most of season 2 of the TV series, and I guess a huge chunk of the comics. He makes a little cameo. Other people apparently make cameos throughout the series, but generally, it's its own story, it's its own work, and I think it works out pretty well. So the nice thing also about this series too is that it carries on the decisions made in previous games. I imported the season 1. There's also an in-between section called 400 Days, which I was thinking about playing but decided against it because it's still $5. As far as I know, it hasn't been discounted, and it's kind of weird to get promised 5 episodes for $10 or pay $5 for 1 episode. I'd rather just wait until it gets discounted to like $1 or $2.50 or something, more reasonable than $5 a pop. And yeah, I'm freezing too, girl. Unfortunately, it's still wintry around here, and I know I try to keep the house cold because it costs quite a bit to keep the heating going. And I just have a sweater, and I'll probably at some point put a blanket on because it's still rather chilly. But of course they're out in the woods in the elements, and they can't get their fire started, so that's kind of sad. Anyways, I hope that this will work as well, because I'm kind of tired of all of these issues. I mean, perhaps there'll be another software update to the capture recording equipment, and then I can... Because it was really weird. It was working for a good long time. We had a lot of great episodes where nothing bad was happening, and now everything's pretty much falling apart again, and it's going to be rather difficult to try to synchronize things together afterwards. And even the worst part, I recorded a test audio of this beforehand, like a few 15-20 seconds, and it worked just fine. And so I think, oh, it works just fine, so I'll record another 20 minutes. And I come back to it, and it's just the game's audio. And, the game's audio is obviously important, but it's kind of the point of us commentating over it is more important. So that's a picture of one of the other companions in the drawing. And there's also that picture of Lee. And so the concept here is that finding things to burn to survive with. And of course there are multiple sorry. options around. And so the way that a lot of the gameplay works too is that you have motions that simulate what you're doing on screen. So you have to move the analog sticks to, for example, when you're going to light this fire here in a bit, because I even had trouble trying to reach the campfire. You have to go to the other side. And you take like the right analog stick and move whatever you're trying to burn towards the left analog. Whatever you're holding the lighter in, whatever you're holding what you're going to burn in, you had to manually put them together. Trying to select the item, like, nope, not happening. Let's see. There's also panic events that will come up at the next part, where those are the quick time things that probably won't be able to talk much in because I have to pay very close attention to what's going on screen. And if I don't push the right button at the right time, it just takes me to the beginning of that section again. I actually got into Walking Dead in general because of this game and this series, and I don't think I would have been able to hold my interest for very long otherwise, especially with the stupid characters like the mother of I can't remember their names. It is a lot of the characters, they just cycle through it, just so generic, and I'm rather disappointed in them in general. But I'm surprised I can't even remember the other characters in this game. But sounds like a little bit of a scuffle going on. We've heard that in Season 1 as well.
I'm by myself.
Bullshit.
I'm by myself.
Cut the shit, lady. Cut the shit, lady.
It's just me.
Come on, guys.
It's just me.
Come on, guys.
And it doesn't matter either way whether you choose to distract them or sneak away. Pretty much this event's going to start no matter what. So, until next time, happy gaming.